Hey friends, welcome back to the whiteboard. I'm Blaine from Applied Leadership Partners, and today we're going to talk about restoration. And specifically, we're going to try to talk about the differences between restoration and conservation. Now, this is a really big topic, and it applies very broadly across a wide range of things. And Brandon and I have been talking about this amongst ourselves for several months now. It's something we've been thinking about and kind of wrestling with, and to be honest, we don't really know yet how to articulate this to our partners and to our clients. And so what I thought I would do is take a few minutes today and just try to work through some of this with you, and we hope you find it helpful. And there's a few key points here when we think about the differences between restoring something, regenerating something, and simply trying to conserve it. And like I said, this applies pretty broadly. So we've thought about this in terms of how does a person or a leader restore or regenerate some of their own energy and themselves? How do we do this in our relationships? How do we do this with our businesses? How do we do this in our communities? How can we be agents of restoration versus simply trying to conserve what we have? And so the first bullet here is we want to always try to grow the pie. And really what this comes down to is the difference between a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset, right? The scarcity mindset would tell you that it's a fixed pie, that it's only so big, there's only so much to go around. And so we've got to be careful to make sure that we're getting an adequate size slice of that pie, or that we're building a fence around it or a wall around it and we're conserving it and we're saying, hey, we got to hang on to what we got here and we don't want to let too much out. But we really believe that if we work together and if we're generous, that we can grow the pie, that we can do things, that we can take actions, that we can collaborate in ways that make the pie bigger, that create more for everybody. And then we don't have to worry quite so much about how big our slice is, because maybe the pie is just getting bigger and bigger. And the second point is that we really try hard within our organization and with those that we coach and we work with to instill a PlaytoWin mindset. And so when you think about this, it's really kind of offense versus defense. And if you've ever seen a team, your favorite sports team, that gets in a position where they've got a bit of a lead, maybe against a really strong team, and you can see them start to tighten up. They start doing what we call playing not to lose, right? They've got a little bit of lead and they're trying to conserve that lead rather than continuing to play to win, continuing to go for the next goal or the next bucket or the next run. Instead, they're trying to just sort of build a wall around their lead and conserve it. And they get tight. And they're not playing fluid anymore. They're not playing free anymore. They're not creative anymore. And you can see what's getting ready to happen. You can watch it through your TV screen. And you can tell that that team's getting ready to give up a big lead because they're playing not to lose. And the third point here is we really deeply believe that 1 + 1 can equal 3. And this goes back a little bit to the abundance mindset, but one of the things that we have tried to really instill in ourselves, and it's not always easy, is this idea of generosity, this idea of giving freely. Believing that if we come to the table and we give our best, and a partner or a collaborator comes to the table and they give their best, and we do that in a spirit of generosity, we do that in a spirit of collaboration, we do that from a place of abundance, we believe there's some magic there. And we've seen this, and I'm sure you have too, that somehow that combination starts to click, and what you've brought and what I've brought suddenly now kind of multiplies, and 1 + 1 = 3. And you can't do that if you're simply trying to kind of conserve what you have. You can only do that if you're thinking about how can we restore what maybe we've lost? How can we restore the trust that we used to have that maybe we don't so much, whether that's in our communities or in our society or in our businesses or in our relationships? How can we think about restoring the land we live on? And again, not just trying to build a fence around it and keep it how it is. Are there proactive things we can do that might make it better for the future or bring it back to a level that it might have been sometime in the past? And I've read a book or two, and I've seen a couple of documentaries that have really inspired my thinking around this, and I'll recommend them to you here. You can check them out if you want. The first is a guy named Boyd Varty. He's a South African lion tracker and sort of life coach, I guess, by trade, but he's written a couple of books, and one is called The Lion Tracker's Guide to Life. And in that, he talks all about how they've restored a huge swath of land in South Africa called Londolozi, and how it's really coming back to life and it's vibrant again because they're allowing nature to do the things that it wants to do, and they're taking some proactive steps to help it along the way. And he kind of uses that as a metaphor for how we can do that within ourselves. And the other one is a great little documentary called The Biggest Little Farm. And there's a couple that buys this old kind of dusty, chalky apricot farm in California, just north of LA. And they go through great pains over a long period of years to try to let it come back and to restore it, not to simply conserve it and use it for whatever it has left. And really inspiring, really cool to see, and I think maybe you'll enjoy that too. So again, huge topic. I don't think we've got this all figured out, but we've really started to think a lot about the difference between restoration and how we can restore ourselves and our businesses and our communities and our relationships, and we can proactively take those steps versus simply trying to conserve what we have, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we just think we can do better. So hope you find this helpful. Happy to chat about it anytime, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time.